Peace is the absence of confusion. Peace to my gods, peace to my earths, peace to all my righteous people throughout the planet. And got a real hot topic today. My topic is reparations for the black people who are the descendants of slaves here in North America. Some people say American descendants of slaves, ADOS. Okay. Um, I've never really considered myself an American per se. I know that we're born here and whatnot, but if you don't have the privileges of an American, and if they wrote into the Constitution you're three-fifths of a human, then But I understand what people mean when they say American descendants of slaves, because there's been slaves all over the planet. So to specify and say who exactly we're talking about, the slaves who built America, yeah, I like that a little bit better. The slaves who built America, who are America's descendants of slaves. Because then that emphasizes the work. They say that the people who had fought their way from the bottom and came here disadvantaged and didn't have money and didn't have privilege and, didn't have riches, didn't have businesses and worked their way up to the top. This is an example of the American dream. There's only really one group who's done that. There's only really one group that's done that. Us, black people here in America, as they call us, ADOS, American descendants of slaves. Anyone else who tells that lie is lying. There's a good book I would like for you all to peruse, to read, because I don't just say stuff without displaying it or giving you research, but it's called Settler's Myth of the White Proletariat. Settler's Myth of the White Proletariat. And it tells you that even when white people were on jobs, they're usually the managers. They're usually the snitches. They're usually the underminers. They're usually the people that come around and watch everyone for the boss, the overseer, just like the plantation, you see. Not the workers who break their back and sometimes injure themselves working, without insurance many times, without medical care any times. So this whole myth of a white proletariat is just that. It's just a myth. They want you to think that that's who they are. They're the working class. They're not the working. If they were the working class, why did they have to come to Africa to steal us to come work? If they're the working class, if they work so hard, why do they have to come and steal us to get us to work, to do the work that they did not want to do and still do not want to do? Then after slavery ends, they make it impossible for us to join these unions, but you still have black workers being brought in, being paid very low wages during this time, okay? To do grunt work that even the white unions did not want to do. So reparations is a very serious subject, y'all. It's not just a thing of we're complaining and we're mad and we're angry. So we feel like someone owes us something. That's not what it is. In law, they have something called a precedent-setting case. A precedent-setting case is a case that influences other cases, right? Like the Dred Scott decision, which said that no white man had to go by or honor any law to respect the black man. And thus, you see, history, so forth, has followed that theory, that narrative, correct? So if we go back a little further, we go to 1555 when, from my understanding, when the first slave was brought here by John Hardy Hawkins on a boat known as the Good Ship Jesus, okay? And we saw this activity go on, multiple slaves, millions, if not hundreds of millions of slaves being stolen from all over Africa, not just West Africa, all over Africa, because they all have stories of the stolen ones. My wife is from Africa. She tells me about her grandmother telling a story almost every morning about the ones who were stolen. Where did they go? Who stole them? Where did they go? Who took them away? You see? So this was something that happened all over Africa. But when I say a precedent-setting case, I mean the fact that people allowed this activity to go on for so long. The stealing of Africans, the mistreatment of Africans, the denial of our rights, our human rights. Other people have been given reparations for lesser things that happened to them. Other people have been given reparations for lesser things that happened to them, such as I'm not trying to lessen anyone's pain, but our pain and enslavement and human rights violations not only happened as one incident, like what happened in World War II to the Jews and to the Japanese, also to the Koreans on the part of the Japanese. They were awarded reparations for one incident. All of the incidents that you can find which people were awarded reparations for, all of those things have happened to us multiple times, over and over and over and over, and they continue to happen to us multiple times. I can look through the Constitution, pardon me, not the Constitution, but the laws of the land. Washington, it would be Revised Code of Washington, or specifically Crime and Punishment, which is Chapter 9. All those things that are considered to be crime and punishment and crimes, right? A crime is when there's an injured party, right? When something is done to someone, there's an injured party, and the injured party is due reparations. Well, the crime that was committed was the transatlantic slave trade and all of its subsequent crimes and human rights abuses that happened afterwards up until today, which there are many of. So we could take each one of these pieces and cases to court individually. Or we could lump it all together. I think it should be taken individually. Start with the first one, transatlantic slave trade. Then we go into what happened to us during slavery. Number 2. Then we go into what happened to us after the Civil War. How we were taken out of office. How laws were made where we couldn't own land. How they promised us 40 acres and a mule, and then General Howard came and told us that that would be rebunked. We got to go into these things, y'all. Got to go into these things. We can't just look around this stuff because, once again, this is a precedence-setting case. Meaning that if we allow this huge crime to be overlooked, many more will follow. And many more have followed. And at some point, we have to